So, it's time for my favorite sign, Aquarius, the water bearer. Aquarius is the most chaotic sign out of all of them. And by chaotic, I don't mean like mischief and mayhem and absolute destruction all over the place. No. Aquarius is unpredictable because it's ruled by Saturn, Rahu, the north node of the moon, and Uranus. As I like to call him, pretty much the uncle that you have no idea what Uranus is going to do. He comes in perfectly fine one day. Next day he's coming in wearing clashing colors, like wearing plaid with stripes. And then the next day he comes in looking like a Lady Gaga reject. We have no idea what he's going to do. Aquarius is the other karmic sign because it's the nodes, Rahu and Ketu, they're attached to those specific signs. Like what I said, Aquarius is the most chaotic and the most unpredictable because you're having two energies, one that's about social reform, order, structure, self-control, discipline, and justice among society as a whole. That's the Saturn side, the one that's trying to keep order within the society. Then you have the different side, Rahu, which is a malefic energy that wants to get all the wealth in the world, get everything that it all wants desires. It wants all of it, it wants it now, and it wants more of it, and it doesn't stop. I like to think of Rahu as Pac-Man. Just doesn't stop. It doesn't know how to stop. He just keeps going and going and going and going. That being said, Aquarius, funny enough, is the most difficult sign to understand for that reason, because you have two conflicting energies in one spot. And also the same thing with like Uranus though. Uranus is unpredictable and he likes to pull the rug out from underneath people. But at the same time, at its whole, Aquarius is a sign that's all about pretty much being unique and also being innovative and kind of setting a trend for others to follow, if that makes sense. But at the same time, Aquarius is also the sign that is starting to get closer to the higher realms of Pisces and the spiritual side. However, Aquarius, though, is the sign that's more scientific. They don't look at it as like, so this is divinity. Instead, they look at it as like, so how's this God? Let's see, what happens if we try doing something like this to it? Okay, how about if we try this? That's Aquarius, because it's trying to understand the higher realms. Aquarius is depicted as two ways. And each one, funny enough, actually fits the two traditional rulers. The first depiction is a man holding an urn, obviously much bigger than this, and he's pouring it over his shoulder, and it's pouring water down onto the earth. Because what that is the man is a divinity figure, and inside the urn that he's pouring onto the earth, that water is the spiritual intelligence and the spiritual awareness, and is being poured onto the people of Earth. And now that's the Saturn side, because he's serving society by pouring down the divine awareness and intellect, and spiritual intellect too, for that matter. Now we take the polar opposite side. Now don't be thinking this is sexist, because this is definitely not the point for that. You have one side with the older man, because usually depicted on that side is an older man. He's pouring down the water that way, and when he's pouring it, he's kind of like in a stance where he's like, kind of like a square horse stance, if you know what that is a training stance where you just have your feet out apart and you bend your knees. It's kind of like you're getting close to the ground and you're pouring it over your shoulder. The other side is usually the one depicted with a woman with an urn of water, and the way that she's actually pouring in the water in her way, she's either pouring it like this, pouring it in a way where she's kind of like being a little whimsical with it. Or even, I've even seen some depictions of where she's actually like moving like this and she's like having the water go all over the place. And I mean, there's even some depictions too where she's actually holding onto the water herself and she's not even pouring any of it. She's kind of like guarding it in a way. And that's the Rahu side. Because one side you have, like usually the most common depiction I've seen is the one with them going like that. With this one, it's taking all that innovation and all that spiritual knowledge and all that higher forms of intelligence, and what she's doing with it, she's being chaotic with it. She's going around in ways that you have no idea where it's going to go. You have no idea who's going to get hit in the face with it. It's unpredictable. And then there's also the kind that is the other depiction where she's kind of like holding it close to her. That's Rahu. Taking it all and holding it for himself. Kind of being stingy. He wants it now, and he wants to keep it. And even like also with this too, again, that is chaotic. You have no idea what's going to happen with it. But at the core of it, both depictions are accurate. It's just how each ruler is kind of more out there and like showing like you have no idea what's going to go on with this sign. Aquarius is the fixed air. You can kind of think, how is that going to work? Well, you put air in this, it's still going to go whoopie-woo in it. Over time, the container that's holding it is going to break. That's also precisely why there's actually a constellation in Aquarius. I can't remember the name for it. It's is named or translated means, I think 100 stars or 100 doctors to the divine. And the symbol is a circle with a void in the middle of it. That's a part of Aquarius, because 100 doctors to the divine, and there's that void in the middle. All that intelligence right in there, it has nowhere to go. It's restricted. And there's the Saturn side coming in. And Rahu wants to get the heck out of there, so he breaks the boundary. Because he breaks taboos too. That's what Rahu does. Regarding the body parts related to Aquarius, it's the ankle and the calf. And that hurt quite a bit. But I'm not going to get into that because that's something personal that I don't want to get into. But the ankle and the calf is related to Aquarius. Because if you have an injury to your ankle or calf, you're crippled. That's why if somebody gets injured by the ankle, they had a lot of heavy karma that they had to pay in past life. That's usually what it is. Because again, Aquarius is one of those signs that is the karmic one. There's two. Again, Scorpio and Aquarius. Fun fact about Aquarius now. Any planet, don't matter if it's Rahu, Ketu, Saturn, Black Moon, Lilith, it doesn't matter which graha is in there. Any graha in Aquarius behaves like it's in Cancer. Because the thing is, Cancer is more about like nourishing and protecting the ones close to it. Aquarius is like protecting and nourishing everyone. And it's about social injustice. That's also why you can see most of the time when there's a human rights activist or some kind of activist for social reform or uplifting society. That's why you see a lot of activists become like Mother Hen. That's the part of Aquarius. Because Aquarius and Cancer, they're kind of similar in a way. It's just the way that how far they go. Cancer is more family and close. Aquarius is like, okay, if you exist, I'm fighting for your rights. That's what Aquarius is most likely related to. Regarding stones related to Aquarius, pretty much any stone that is man-made, because Aquarius is the sign of innovation, and it's moving things forward. You can say Moldavite can be Aquarian. You can also say Pretty much any meteorite that comes on Earth, that's Aquarius, because it's innovating the growth of like geology and stuff like that. Anything that is, any stone that's like recently discovered and kind of new, like for example, Violaine. It's a very light blue. It looks like Larimar, but it's recently newish. Same with crap, what is that stone called? Dianite. This stone named after Princess Diana. That's an Aquarius stone because it's innovative, it's fresh, it's unique. Same thing like with stones that behave in a very unique way, kind of like ductile pipe. Like if you hold on to it, it changes color. Not many stones really change color, but when you release the warmth to it, it goes back to the way it was. It's unique and is doing something very personal to it, if that makes sense. Well, not really personal, but very unique to the stone. Amethyst is another one. Sugilite is another one, and Sugilite is very sassy. It's a stone that is like having a... It's like having a best gay sass friend there, and when you get into trouble, you get backed up by that. And trust me, that thing will become like a ravaging chihuahua. That's Sugilite. And also any stones that are related to the moon, you can also go with Aquarius. And now you're probably thinking, but what happens if, like, say, if you have Cancer in Aquarius, what happens then? Well, it's going to behave like it's in Cancer. It's going to behave like it's pissed off. Instead of, having King Leonidas in the kitchen with a bunch of housewives holding hands and skipping around him in a big circle, now you're having society as a whole do it. Except not in the kitchen. And now Mars is going to be... I am going to disturb every single one of you people. Because Mars is not comfortable. He'd rather just go Hong Kong Phooey and, break someone in two than skip a dee-doo-dah around something. Now if you have Jupiter in Aquarius, it'll behave like it's in Cancer, so it'll act like it's exalted. But, another thing too. Before you even really judge a planet's capability, exaltation, debilitated, own sign, multigrown, secondary, owned, enemy sign, friendly sign, before you can even judge any of that, you have to look at the actual owner of the sign and how they're doing. If they're not doing well, then that planet out there is not going to do well. But that's later on down the line. Pretty much Aquarius is a sign that people try and figure out and don't even try. The best way to understand Aquarius, you don't. You need a lot of patience. And Aquarius rules the original 11th house of gains, networking, fulfillment of desires, wishes, pretty much gains incoming to you, network circles. It also is your it can be, it's also the gain of the 10th house, but like what I said in every sign. The sign that is before the sign you're looking at, so we have Aquarius, now we have Capricorn. Aquarius loses the qualities of Capricorn. Not in the sign of restriction, because that's very minuscule that we're going with. Aquarius loses the idea of being, it loses the idea of status. Because Aquarius really don't give no crap what you think about them. If something is not right, they will go at it, and they will knock it down. Capricorn will be a little bit more controlled and a little bit more understanding and just, having that self-control. Aquarius will go Hong Kong Phooey to somebody's face. That's part of one of the difference. And Capricorn usually takes his sweet time and makes sure it's slow and steady. Aquarius just goes... There's a swipe. And Capricorn is an opportunist. It waits for the perfect time. Aquarius just goes face first. And also the thing with Aquarius, Capricorn is that sign of fear and anxiety. That doesn't really exist that much in Aquarius, because Aquarius just doesn't give a crap. Put it that way. Aquarius just goes, Oh, you're gonna do what? Sure. Yeah, it just doesn't put up with BS. And I think really I got pretty much everything for Aquarius. The last sign that's going to be up next is Pisces. And that one is going to be quite the eye-opener, because that one has one quality that a lot of people freak out when I say, well, Pisces is this. What are you trying to say? Yeah, but we'll get into that in Pisces. And then after Pisces, we're going to start going through the grahas one by one. And there's going to be quite the long list of them. Everything from Sun to all the way to Circe, including the asteroids. Juno, Pallas, Athena, you get the idea. Vesta, all of them. So anyway, this was Aquarius, and tomorrow, or sometime soon I hope, we'll get into the sign of Pisces. The sign of being